All right, we're going to move on to Virginia, and Virginia is the executive director of Young at Heart Enrichment Center. So, Virginia, your Young at Heart program certainly has helped many people find joy through both education and connection. So, can you talk a little bit about how the program got started and how it has grown over the years?
So, our program is really a very grassroots organization. About 11 years ago, a group of us went on a mission trip to New Orleans, and when we were in New Orleans, we served a community that had programs similar to what we would have in Grand Rapids, Dégagé, some of the programs that serve the homeless. They provided technology classes. They had on site a senior housing complex that used to house a bunch of nuns or something. And then they had an apartment complex that housed a bunch of the priests in the New Orleans district. And so my story was not the senior program. I had a whole different experience of a gentleman that I worked with that was very touching and moving. However, when I came back from that mission trip, truly it was, I believe, divinely inspired. This is a very strong faith story for me. But I came home and my head within weeks was just filled with all these ideas of how we could use the parish center at the church I was attending for seniors. We already had a food and clothing pantry. We already had a tax program. We had so many outreach programs already. And over the years, I had heard many of those who have had many birthdays say, what about us? What about us? They served when they were parents. They served when they had grandchildren. And now they're at a point where they need to be served or want to be served. I don't know if it's always a need or a want, but it's just, hey, when does my time come when I can just sit, relax, and enjoy, and I don't have to be working at something? This notebook, I just started writing everything down on this notebook, and I brought it to some of the people I'd gone on this mission trip with. We had just built an elevator into the building. We had built a handicap access ramp, and I said, what do you think about doing this? This used to be a school. What if we turned it back into a school for the people who went to school here? Was kind of the mindset, and we got a classroom here that we can do some music in, a classroom we can do this. So many people could not think of anything that was wrong with this idea, so we said, okay, let's go ahead. We got together some people, created a way to publicize it, and we reached out, and this is where it fits in with the Embracing Gifts. We reached out initially to the church community. Here's what we're thinking about doing. What do you guys think? And I was blown away. We had a gentleman who says, I love wood carving. I'd love to share wood carving. I am a Tai Chi instructor. Experience and help with others to learn because it had changed her life so much. We had a woman come forward and said, hey, I make cards professionally. I did not know there were professional card makers. She had images of cards she made in these catalogs and everything. I'd love to do some card making. So we just had these people coming forward, sewing. We had some people who are wonderful sewers. Hey, I'd like to sew, and I love sewing. I don't know what to do with all this stuff I sew. So, I'd like to do that with more people and figure it all out. So they came forward, and that's how we started our program, was with all the gifts that these people had. Others attended saying, I have no gifts, but boy, this sounds like fun. So they just started attending. We started making coffee. They helped us make coffee. And I started hearing stories such as, boy, I didn't know that when I retired I could have this much fun. Boy, I didn't know I could learn something new. And then not only did they learn something new, but the things that they learned, such as sewing, they then started giving that and giving back to the society, giving back. So just yesterday, we had, I think, probably our 10th baby shower. We usually do it around Mother's Day, and the last couple of years has been a spring tea. So these ladies come in, and they like to do the desserts and the tea, and we have a whole meal wrapped around it. And they bring in donations of things that they have sewn. It might be quilts, it might be burp cloths, it might be balls and teddy bears. So they started it, and now others also will contribute money, and then we can get at a reduced rate, because we're a nonprofit, tons of baby wipes and diapers and all that. So then we turn that around and give it to another nonprofit at a rate that they could not have gotten it for if they'd gone to Meijer. It's like, probably 1/4 the cost of what they would pay at Meijer for these products. So we'll do that again in Father's Day. Then we do beer, burgers, and brats around Father's Day. People bring in donations, and we then pass along those donations to an organization that helps single dads. The organization we helped yesterday is called Light High. They provide care for teens who choose to keep their baby. They provide financing and help give them a safe home if their family of origin is not safe for them. So inherent in our program is the whole idea of embracing gifts. We all have gifts, and it's helpful to know that you're still valuable and important to the community, and that you can give back in whatever ways we do that. Now we also do things like euchre and bingo and just fun stuff. Again, it's all about building community. As we age and we start getting a little older, our friends and family also start passing along or having difficulty. So by building community, you have a ride when you need to go to the doctor's office. We send cards to the homebound. So we have a group that makes the cards, then we sign them, we send them to the homebound. So there's always that connection too, even when you're not able to come to the center for programming.
No, I think that's awesome, because so many people who have spent their lives volunteering and helping with others, it really can be challenging when you get to a point where you do need a little help to actually ask for that help, and especially if you haven't been readily connected with those people. But by seeing them, I know when I'm in connection with my friends, it makes it much easier to reach out and, hey, I need a ride somewhere, I need this or I need that. So that's great that you're building that. What are some of the most common challenges that you see in the people that you serve, and how is your program assessing some of those challenges?
If you ask a lot of organizations, they'll say isolation is one of the largest challenges that the people we serve are experiencing. And the isolation may be because their loved ones are passing and they don't know how to make new friends. They're not working any longer. They're not volunteering any longer. They don't have children who are pulling them into activities. Their children are grown and maybe moved away. Grandchildren might not live real close either. So they start becoming a little more isolated. I think the isolation also is becoming more difficult to get out. More difficult to move. My legs don't move as quickly. It takes me longer to get going in the morning. So the world moves faster as you age. I do think it truly is moving faster. Technology, everything comes at us so fast, and I think that contributes to isolation because we get overwhelmed by all of that. Phones, look at phones, how hard it is to learn. They're changing, updating them all the time. So I think there's lots of different things that can create the term isolation that kind of encompasses all into that. So I would say probably that would be the biggest challenge.
I would agree with that. And I think there's just a very pervasive difference in today's society with people, even simple activities like everyone wearing headphones and everyone being on their phones all the time, that creates just a different atmosphere where we almost feel shy about calling someone on the phone. Even in business, sometimes I feel like I have to apologize when I actually make a phone call. And I didn't want to text because I had more to tell you. And I think our society is missing that. I think we really need to come back to a time of connection, a time to speaking with each other, with everyone that we meet, whether it's the clerk in the grocery store or anybody that we meet on a day-to-day basis. So that's a very big deal. You talked a little bit about this, but your mission talks so much about giving back. And what are the best ways that you have seen for interested adults who would desire to jump in and serve where they could get involved with what you do?
First of all, just if you have a gift that you want to share, feel free to come and say, hey, can I share this gift, and we'll find a space for you. We have other people who want to learn the gift. So sometimes, we take feedback, what do you want to learn? Do you want a yoga class? Do you want to learn pottery? Some arts kind of activity, water painting. So we have brought some of that in based on people's interests and needs. Always learning a new thing stimulates the mind. It also gets you meeting new people. So that can, kind of as Dr. Don is saying, it stimulates, you're breathing, you're laughing, you're getting more oxygen, you're getting better blood flow. I remember during COVID, a comment that you made earlier, you reminded me during COVID, how much I missed laughing. We didn't laugh. I started finding myself watching videos on YouTube. I was never a social media person. And I'm like, just to laugh, I started watching America's Got Talent episodes or something. That connection is so important. So whatever gets you in the door, it doesn't matter. Just start getting connected to people, and it'll help your health.
Absolutely. So for people especially who have, previously found purpose in building their career or possibly raising their family, I do believe that it causes somewhat of an identity crisis when they retire or become empty nesters. So what would you say to somebody who might be struggling at that point in their life with finding renewed purpose beyond their kids and their career?
A passion. Finding a passion within you, pursuing a passion, just digging down deep to find something that brings you joy, that will bring you hope, that will bring you energy, that will bring you just a renewed purpose and renewed life. And I think you'll step back, kind of like Dr. Don was like, after a while, it's like, wow, you're going to do the same thing. After a while, you're going to go, wow, I'm getting up earlier, or I look forward to getting up, or I'm not thinking about my next meal. I remember some of our seniors saying, I thought when I retired, all I would do is go to restaurants and the casinos. They couldn't envision anything beyond that. And those are the two things I'm like, what? I can't wait to retire. I've got so many things I want to pursue. But we have to be careful, because I put some of those things off thinking when I retire, forgetting, though, that when I retire, I might not have this much energy. So you need to figure out how to get yourself energized. And sometimes that's, taking that step and just baby steps at a time. And before you know it, you'll look back going, wow, this is awesome. This is fun.
So my daughter's mother-in-law was like a high-level person working for the IRS, a very, very corporate job for many, many years. And within the last year, her and her husband moved to Florida. She's now volunteering at like a big animal rescue and having a blast. I looked at that, I'm like, I want to do that. I want to like hold baby tigers and stuff like that. That sounds really cool. So just think, the options are endless. Virginia, do you have any favorite personal stories that have come out of your program?
One story I go back to right away when you asked that question is early on, one of the members that joined our group, she was born with cerebral palsy, and pretty early in life developed a hearing impediment. And she would, people around her always felt uncomfortable. She walked funny, she kind of talked funny. She was very intelligent, highly intelligent, and she had worked professionally for years. But she had a passion for animals, and she always had a petition she wanted you to sign for the coyotes or the wolves or whatever, and so we just all shied away, like, I don't want to be on that petition. I've already been on them. Anyway, so she started coming, and she came from Cedar Springs, and she says, oh, I'm coming from Cedar Springs, this better be worth my time. And so she came down, and so we started making it worth her time. We're like, that's valuable, that's important, she's right. Cedar Springs, that's a long drive, gas money. And she had a passion for animals, so we started visiting animal sanctuaries. And we started doing things that were her passion. And all of a sudden, those around became softened to her. And she became softened. She was no longer hitting us with these petitions. She was less offensive. Everyone else just made more room for her. And she died shortly, a couple years into our program. And I'm telling you, on one end it was heartbreaking, on the other end I just had tears. I've never spoke at a funeral. I spoke at the funeral. And I spoke about the influence that she had on our program, on the people, and vice versa. If it had not been for our program, there would have been 3 people at our funeral. Our program outweighed that church with our people over here and her 3 family people. And it was that it gave, her family came up and said, thank you so much for making her last 2 years so joyful. And that really is a big story of that I keep in the back of my head. We never know when we're going to pass, and we all want to pass with those last years being fun and joyful and hopeful and giving back and meaningful.
No, I think that's a wonderful story, and I think that's such a great example of when you can get people together for any common goal and get to know one another and have the ability to start focusing on the good things about a person and not the bad things about the person. Because, of course, all of us are a mix of good and annoying, and God knows, my husband back there, I thank him every day for putting up with me for almost 30 years now. But that's the thing. You find your people, and you start appreciating the things that are good within any person, which is wonderful. And I just want to say, for all of you that travel on a monthly basis to come to these presentations, that means the world to me, because that tells me that this is worth it. And I just really applaud all of you who take the time, and especially those of you who come from a ways away. And I know there's quite a few of you that do. So, Virginia, finally, what is the easiest way that our attendees can get involved in Young at Heart, and also anything else that you'd like to share with them?
Currently, we are meeting in the Creston neighborhood. We're using a church facility. We are not church affiliated, but we use the church who donates the space to us. It's called Second Church. It used to be Second Congregational Cheshire. And we offer classes right now on Mondays and Wednesdays. We'll probably in the future grow. Right now, Mondays and Wednesdays, but we pack a lot in on those Mondays and Wednesdays. We have an exercise class that's led by a personal trainer. We have Tai Chi classes. We have a yoga class that just started this month. So those are kind of the exercise classes that we are offering. We offer things such as wood carving, euchre, card making. We do bingo. We do team trivia. And then we also offer presentations, such as some of the people that you saw out in the lobby would come and do a presentation, so you can get to know a little more of what they have to offer. We just did a wellness event just earlier this month, where we had a couple people from Ivy Rehab come in and did a presentation on how to walk and how to carry your body in a way that doesn't create further problems for you. We had massage students come in and offer massages, and we had a woman come in who does alternative healing, talk about alternative healing, and we'll do an outing to her place. We also do outings. We are also doing a speaker series this spring. The first one will be May 28th. The woman's Sherry Burton, who will be talking about the orphan train, the historical event, U.S. history of using orphan trains in World War II and post-World War II to send children mostly to the West and Midwest, where they could be with homes, and that sometimes it was positive, sometimes it wasn't, but it's a historical event. And then we have another woman coming in June and another woman coming in July talking about the lighthouse, the women light keepers. So we do speaker series. In the fall, we'll do a series on the war, Vietnam War, Korean War, and World War II, from the perspectives of people who served, as well as the people who loved the ones who served. So we do speakers engagement. So the best way really is to come. We do have information out there. You're welcome to come and participate. Like I said, you're welcome to just volunteer, even if you want to help make coffee. Just kind of help us serve lunch. We do lunch pretty much every Monday and Wednesday. We can use you in almost any way that you're willing to come and serve and get to know each other.
Awesome. Will you give Virginia a round of applause? Thank you. I think that's so great to just be bringing all these people together and just have it be building from here, just building community.